welcome back to the
All right. How do you do, sir? All right, are we ready for the jury? Okay. All right, you have a seat. Okay. Your next question?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Marks, what work were you asked to do in this case?
I was asked to bring my years of experience in the entertainment industry and look at the damage that the op-ed of 2018 created in Johnny Depp's career and his life and his reputation.
What work did you do to determine whether Mr. Depp's reputation had been damaged by the op-ed?
Well, again, I view the op-ed and the fallout through almost 50 years in the business. And what I did was I read the pleadings in the case, the deposition transcripts, the articles, the pleadings, all of the paperwork in this case, which is voluminous.
Based on the analysis you've done and your expertise in the entertainment industry, have you formed any opinions in this case?
Yes.
Generally speaking, what is your opinion?
My general opinion is that the op-ed damaged Mr. Depp, created a cancel situation, if you will, harmed his reputation and his ability to get work in Hollywood industry.
Yeah. Hold on, sir. Yes.
I thought that could we purchase?
Sure.
Mr. Marks, do you have experience working with companies looking to engage actors to market or advertise their products?
Yes.
And what's that experience?
Well, virtually every company I work for, they are engaging actors to advertise their products. Most of the time, those products are TV shows or streaming series or feature films that all involve product spin-offs and derivatives, and sometimes they are just products and spokespeople getting together. But yes, I have experience in hiring a star to be the face of your product.
What types of things do companies consider when they're looking at using actors in their marketing or advertising?
Well, as you can imagine, they consider reputation. This is a capitalist society, and they're looking to make money. They want to add value to their investment. They want actors who have reputations that will bring eyeballs to the screen, bodies in the seats. They're looking for added value, not negativity.
Do you have experience negotiating agreements for actors to play a certain role in a film?
Oh, yes. As I explained, I negotiate deals with actors to play roles in films. And
What's the significance of the actor in the starring role in the context of a feature film?
the actor in the starring role becomes the face of the film, the product, the series. That actor is synonymous with the product. And again, in hiring that actor or actress, you want a reputation that supports the value that you've spent on creating the product. You might say that Pirates of the Caribbean is Johnny Depp and vice versa. That's the importance of hiring a star.
What aspects of an actor's reputation might impact their ability to get hired by brands or studios?
Well, again, on the other side of the coin, you wouldn't want to hire an actor who has negativity following them. You wouldn't want to pay to actually bring your brand down, your movie. And so that's very important, and especially in the last 5 years with the Metoo movement, you wouldn't want negativity hiring an actor who, quote unquote, had been canceled.
Is there anything in particular that might prevent an actor from getting hired by a brand or a studio?
Well, I mean, we're talking about illegal activity, a criminal record, but right now, the pinnacle of negativity in Hollywood is being accused of domestic abuse, sexual abuse, violence, and what we've seen is almost immediately terminations and cancellations for the investors, to the people who create that product, to move away from that negativity.
I think you mentioned the Me Too movement. What's your understanding of what the Me Too movement is?
My understanding of the Me Too movement is that finally society is listening to the victim, giving the victim of domestic abuse, sexual abuse, the benefit of the doubt. And there has been a shift in our society from not doing that to now the victim gets the benefit of the doubt until there's too much doubt. And to me, that's the Me Too movement. One person can come forward and accuse Harvey Weinstein, and another person can come forward, and another. That's the Me Too part of it. But they get the benefit of the doubt, whereas in the past, the victim didn't have that benefit.
What impact has the Me Too movement had on how Hollywood conducts business?
It, in my many decades in the business, Hollywood has changed and morphed, but never as quickly as to respond to the Me Too movement that started in 2017. When I started in the business, every contract for an actor or someone involved in the movie had a morals clause that you did certain things and you could be fired for it. They wanted to protect their brand. Before the Me Too movement, that morals clause was fading out. People with leverage, people said, wait a second, you just can't get rid of us because you think this or that. With the Metoo movement, Harvey Weinstein, Bill Cosby, if you will, the morals clause has come back, and it is a demanded feature in every entertainment employment agreement, because the studios want that verbiage. They want those rights so that they can act quickly and decisively when there is a claim.
Mr. Marks, do you have any experience working on a project where an actor was accused of domestic abuse or sexual violence?
Yes.
What was that experience?
I did some of the production legal work on a film called All the Money in the World. It was about the life of the Gettys, J. Paul Getty. And J. Paul Getty was played by Kevin Spacey. He acted in the part, he finished his role, he was paid, and then these Me Too accusations came out. And immediately, my client, in conjunction with Sony, they made a decision to take him out of the movie, and Christopher Plummer was hired. They reshot all his scenes and seamlessly cut them in to the movie. And if you see All the Money in the World, you won't know that Kevin Spacey was ever in it. So I had that personal experience, and then coincidentally, when that happened, I was also doing work for MRC, which produces House of Cards, and a very successful series, and he was star of it, and he was immediately cut out, and everything was redone to get rid of the notion that Hollywood would support an abuser after the Me Too movement. And then, because I was in the mix of all of it, I also know that Kevin Spacey had completed another movie for Netflix, and unlike All the Money in the World, they couldn't reshoot it, and it sits on the shelf, a movie about Gore Vidal. That was finished, but has never seen the light of day.
What's your understanding of why these companies wanted Kevin Spacey removed from those projects?
Can you repeat the question?
What's your understanding of why these companies wanted Kevin Spacey removed from those projects?
These companies, as I've said, they wanted Kevin Spacey removed because they didn't want the negativity. They want anyone removed so that they can get a return on their investment in our society, so that they are not seen as being in the old generation where women were not given the benefit of the doubt, where victims were not given the benefit of the doubt. And a switch has been turned, and certainly by 2017.
Are there certain types of companies that are particularly sensitive to these kinds of allegations made by women in light of the Me Too movement?
Well, I would say the bigger the company, the bigger the budgets, they're all sensitive. But at the pinnacle of sensitivity are the family-friendly companies like Disney. They're particularly sensitive, not in a general way, but in a very specific way.
Mr. Marks, are you familiar with the op-ed Ms. Heard published in the Washington Post on December 18th, 2018?
Yes.
What's your understanding of how that op-ed was received in Hollywood?
Sorry, sir.
Yes.
Is this his personal understanding, his expert understanding? It seems like if it's his personal understanding, it's not relevant.
I'm asking Mr. Marks based on his nearly 50 years in the entertainment
I'll overrule
industry.
the objection.
Thank you.
As I've said before, I am a member of the Hollywood community. That op-ed, for the first time, is in a mainstream publication called the Washington Post. This is a flagship journal, if you will, of American news. We're not talking about a trade paper. We're not talking about a rag. We're talking about the Washington Post. And it is geared to Hollywood. it says, 2 years ago, when I was getting my divorce, Amber Heard is saying, I was the abuser, and you didn't, Hollywood, you stood up for my abuser, not for me,
Objection,
the
Your Honor.
victim.
Objection. Now he's mischaracterizing the fact.
I think he's expressing his understanding of how it was perceived.
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is Hollywood got the subject matter of the op-ed loud and clear. Amber Heard was calling out Hollywood for supporting, since 2016, supporting her abuser, and she felt the wrath of Hollywood. She was calling them out to do something. In the Washington Post, and on the eve of her biggest film, a big film for Hollywood, the publicity machine was in high gear. There was lots of publicity and news out there. This was the height of they heard that plea loud and clear, and it also got her publicity for her movie. I don't think that in my perception, and people in Hollywood didn't see that as a coincidence, that date. So yeah, in Hollywood, I think the message was received that she was sending.
Mr. Marks, do you have an understanding of Mr. Depp's reputation in Hollywood with respect to whether or not he's on time to his film sets?
Yes.
What's your understanding?
Hollywood has a history of putting up with major artists and major stars' idiosyncratic behaviors. We've always had divas like Marilyn Monroe who would stay in her trailer for half a day. Johnny Depp has a reputation of being Johnny Depp, and when you hire Johnny Depp, you get all of Johnny Depp, and that includes being late. And fortunately, in Hollywood, because of the budgets and the box office, you can budget for lateness. You can have second unit. You can have other shots. You have padding in budgets. You have insurance for accidents. But Hollywood knows Mr. Depp's reputation, and do that when money's involved and big stars are involved and artistry is involved.
Mr. Marks, did you have an understanding of Mr. Depp's overall reputation in Hollywood prior to the publication of the December 2018 op-ed?
I would say that Johnny Depp was one of the few major actors in Hollywood who managed to keep most of his personal life personal, kept himself shrouded, if you will, a bit. And his reputation, preceded him as a major artist in Hollywood. But what also marked him in this business is that he was congruent. He was likable. He was one of the guys. And I never heard any complaints, if you will.
Do you have an opinion about the impact of the publication of the op-ed on Mr. Depp's reputation in Hollywood?
It's devastating. It's the type of claim, the Metoo claim of sexual violence, domestic abuse, that has canceled a list of actors. Chris Noth recently. I just read something about Frank Langella. We know newscasters, Les Moonves, head of CBS. Now Johnny Depp is in their ranks. It's devastating.
Thank you, Your Honor. No further questions.
All right, cross-examination, Mr. Nadelhoff.
Good afternoon. Your rate in this case is $975 per hour, is that right?
That's correct.
And you've never charged that higher rate in any other cases, isn't that right?
I've charged near that amount,
But never that high, correct?
that's correct.
Okay. How much have you received for this case?
I'd have to look at my billing. During my deposition, the attorney who deposed me asked me the same question. I said I would look it up. I did during lunch, and then she never got back to it again. I don't remember how much it was then, and I don't have the figures now.
And you don't know how many hours you worked on this case?
I would guess, again, I'd be guessing, and I don't know if you want me to guess. I have a full-time transactional practice. This is a very small part of my practice.
Now, you said you worked for Disney for less than a year, right?
I worked for Disney about a year.
Yeah, and that was in 1990, right?
Yes.
So that was 32 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. And you worked at Greenberg Trowering from 2004 to 2006, is that right?
That's correct.
Your leaving was a mutual decision, was it not?
Yes.
Now, Mr. Depp still has an endorsement deal with Dior, correct?
I understand that, yes.
Okay. And he's had that endorsement deal since 2015, isn't that right?
I believe he's had the endorsement deal for a while, and I think he still has it.
Right. And Dior hasn't dropped Mr. Depp, correct?
As far as I know, Dior has not dropped him.
And Mr. Depp did not have a contract for Pirate 6, isn't that right?
As far as I know, there is no contract for Pirate 6.
Right. In all the documents you've looked at, you looked at all the documents in this case, and you've not seen a contract for Pirate 6, right?
That's my memory of the documents. There was no contract for Pirate 6.
And in all the documents you looked at, you didn't see a text saying Mr. Depp got the contract for Pirate 6 for $22.5 million, right?
Objection asked and answered.
Overruled.
I didn't see paperwork on an agreement for Pirates of the Caribbean 6.
So not an email, not a text, not any written document about Pirate 6, correct?
Objection asked and answered.
I'll sustain that objection. Next question.
And you don't know one way or the other whether Mr. Depp will be in Pirates of the Caribbean 6. You don't have a crystal ball, is that right?
Objection, speculation.
He's an expert.
Allow it. Go ahead. Overrule. Go ahead. You can answer, sir.
Well, as an expert, of course, I don't have a crystal ball, but as an expert, I think Disney will do everything possible to try to put him back in Pirates, but not under this cloud.
Okay. You would agree that there was negative publicity about Mr. Depp before the op-ed, correct?
Yes.
You know that Ms. Heard made her accusations public starting in May of 2016, right?
Yes.
And Hollywood knew about that, right?
Yes.
And Mr. Depp still had movies after May of 2016, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you would agree that there was negative publicity about Mr. Depp being publicly drunk before the op-ed, correct?
There was, I agree with the proposition that there was negative publicity before the op-ed. The op-ed was something different.
And you agree, in 2014, there was an article in The Guardian that said apparently drunk Johnny Depp cut off at Hollywood Film Awards ceremony. Would you agree with that?
Again, I don't remember reading The Guardian, and I don't remember that particular incident, but I'll take you at your word.
And you remember in looking through all the documents that you saw an article that Johnny Depp allegedly showed up drunk to movie premiere, reports say, right? That was in 2017.
I think I've testified that there is certainly Johnny Depp behavior, and negativity out there, yes.
And that a family production studio like Disney wouldn't want to be associated with, correct?
Again, you're talking about a very specific, series of 5 films that are billions of dollars, and there is a line in Hollywood, as I've said, they'll put up with divas and drugs to make money, but now we've drawn a line in Hollywood at the domestic and sexual abuse.
And looking through the documents, you saw the articles in June of 2018 that said vodka for breakfast, 72-hour drug binges, and spending sprees that beggar belief. You saw that?
Again, I know these articles exist. I know they're not in the Washington Post. I don't know what article you're referring to, who wrote it, what publication it was in, but I know that those articles exist.
And you'd agree that before the op-ed, Mr. Depp had a run of movie flops, wouldn't you agree?
Every actor has, ups and downs. Mr. Depp, his career's been decades long.
You would agree that in January of 2015, there was an article that said Johnny Depp is on his way to becoming the most overpaid actor in Hollywood.
Again, you'd have to show me the article, but I don't doubt that some commentator trying to trade on being a smarty pants wrote that.
And you'd agree that there was another article in 2015 that says, quote, has Johnny Depp become Hollywood's biggest joke?
I don't know, Netflix has a whole festival going now. Netflix is a joke.
And you'd agree that there's an article in Business Insider from 2015 that says Johnny Depp has his 5th box office bomb in a row.
If that's what it said, it said. Are you just going to keep reading it?
This is Mr. Depp's reputation. That's what you're talking about in terms of Hollywood, correct? And in 2016, December of 2016, there's an article that says, quote, Johnny Depp is Hollywood's most overpaid actor for the 2nd year in a row. Did you recall reading that?
Was that written by the second underpaid actor?
And you would agree that before the op-ed, there was negative publicity for Mr. Depp about assassinating President Trump. Would you agree?
No, I missed that one.
You didn't see an article in the New York Times that said Johnny Depp flirts with idea of Trump assassination, then apologizes?
Again, Johnny Depp talks with irony and panache, and I don't particularly remember that. I have a lot of stuff in front of me.
Disney wouldn't want to be involved with somebody who's calling for the assassination of the president, would it?
I'm sure after those articles, Johnny Depp was involved in major studio projects.
Do you know one way or the other whether Mr. Depp was involved in major studio projects after June 23rd, 2017?
I think, again, I haven't quoted his IMDb page to memory, but he was in an animated film called Sherlock Gnomes. I think it was released, Paramount is one of the producers. I think it was released in 2017.
Would you agree that before the op-ed there was negative publicity for Mr. Depp about punching a crew member on a film set?
I heard about that.
So there's people who work in Hollywood that Mr. Depp had an accusation of assault, correct?
I heard about it, yes.
And would you agree that there were stories about Mr. Depp drinking heavily on the set of Pirates 5?
There were lots of stories that came out, and I'm sure that was one of them.
And those stories came out in 2016 and 2017, before the op-ed, right?
Again, you'd have to show me a timeline, but I'll take your word that there were articles written in various rags or trade public.
The New York Times a rag? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying the New York Times is a rag. What I'm saying is, at the height of the Metoo movement, we have this op-ed directed at Hollywood, and in the Hollywood I know, the rest of the stuff is background noise.
Now, and Pirates 5 did not make as much money in the box office as the prior Pirates movies. Isn't that true?
That's true. It only made about $800 million.
It made less, though, than the first 4, correct?
Yeah, and any company would want to have a a box office hit that made $800 million.
Now, can you put up Defendant's Exhibit 99, please? Yeah, if you could blow it up. Now, you said the Me Too movement started in 2017. Is that what you're saying?
It actually started long before that, but it picked up steam to what we now call the Me Too movement in 2017.
Okay, and do you recognize this article from Dan Wooten? It says, how can J.K. Rowling be genuinely happy casting wife-beater Johnny Depp in the new Fantastic Beasts film?
Yes, this article is in the UK Sun, which came to prominence by publishing topless women on page 3.
And the article came out on April 27th, 2018, correct?
I haven't skimmed through this, but I'll take your word for it.
And I think what you're trying to say was that the Sun was a rag, so no one would pay any attention to it. Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm saying the Sun is the Sun, and it's in the UK. And what this article is repeating stuff from 2016, repeating all the stuff that you might say should be all past history after the divorce. It's one Wooten's opinion in a newspaper that's claimed to fame as page 3 women topless, and yeah.
And
it's
Mr.
in the-
Depp
and it's
sued
in the
Mr.
UK,
Depp
you know,
sued
we-
the Sun over this, right?
What's that?
Mr. Depp sued the Sun in the UK about this article, right?
As far as I know, he wanted to clear his name. That's right.
And Mr. Depp, that lawsuit occurred in 2020, correct? It was tried in 2020.
I believe so. Yeah.
And there were accusations of abuse that came out based on that lawsuit, correct?
As far as I know, the accusations were all old news and predated much. Yeah, I mean, this is a 2018 article, and in 2020, they probably were rehashing it.
And the old news that was coming out in 2018, that would also affect Mr. Depp's reputation, correct?
Again, I've tried to draw a line, the line that Hollywood draws between the Me Too movement and starting in 2017 and the gossip and the claims back and forth. I mean, there was also press about Amber Heard being an abuser in those years. There was also the other side of the coin.
But the op-ed that didn't mention Mr. Depp at all and didn't mention any accusations that what happened to her, that's what caused Mr. Depp all his reputational harm? That's what you're saying?
Well, I don't agree that this article was not about
Did it mention
Depp.
Mr. Depp? That's what I asked you.
Well, does she have another husband who abused her
But
in
did it talk about
2016?
Did it talk at all about Mr. Depp's abuse?
Objection, Your Honor. He's tried to answer the first question, which was not exactly what the second question was that he re-asked. He had to ask him to be permitted to
Just
finish.
ask your question. We'll go.
The op-ed article didn't mention any specific abuse by Mr. Depp towards Amber Heard, correct?
The only name is this is Amber Heard telling her story that started in 2016 when she was domestically abused and ignored.
Now, there were headlines about the UK trial, correct?
I'm sure there were, yes.
Like, let's burn Amber text allegedly sent by Johnny Depp about ex read in court.
I didn't hear you.
Let's burn Amber text allegedly sent by Johnny Depp about ex read in court.
Yeah.
And there's a headline from July 19th, 2020 that said, quote, Hollywood nervously awaits fallout from explosive Johnny Depp trial. So Hollywood was following the case, correct?
Yeah. When was that headline?
In 2020.
2020. Yeah, look, Johnny Depp is a decades-long fixture in Hollywood, and people were following something across the pond. You know, we thought we kind of got rid of the UK in 1776, but they were still following it, absolutely.
I mean, Mr. Depp thought of enough about this article to have a 3-week trial in the UK, correct?
Objection calls for speculation about what Mr. Depp thought.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
There was a 3-week trial in the UK based on this article by Dan Wooten, correct?
I think I've said Mr. Depp finally had enough, and he sued to clear his name.
Okay, can I approach Your Honor?
All right.
Yeah.
You want to?
Mr. Marks, you testified that in the UK case, Mr. Depp was looking to clear his name, correct?
That's my assumption, yes.
And yes or no, did Mr. Depp clear his name through that lawsuit?
I wasn't in the UK, and I'm not going to opine on that. That's not what I've been engaged to talk about.
You don't know one way or the other whether Mr. Depp cleared his name through that lawsuit?
Objection, Your Honor. Asked and answered.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
You understand, can you please put up Defendant's Exhibit 115? In looking through the documents, did you see headlines from October 25th, 2018, almost 2 months before the op-ed, that Mr. Depp would not be in Pirate 6?
I saw that there was speculation in different publications, none quoting a Disney executive, if you will, none being definitive.
And
by the way, I can't see, where's this article from? I just see the headline.
thedailymail.com.
So the Daily Mail is a UK publication?
All right, let's move. I mean, you know or not?
Do I know what?
Do you know if it's a UK publication or not?
I think that the Daily Mail is, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Now, did you review the deposition testimony in this case of the Walt Disney corporate designee?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall that the corporate designee testified that Disney produced all documents related to its business relationship with Mr. Depp including considering Mr. Depp for any work with Disney or future Pirates films, and she did not recall seeing the op-ed or any documents referring to the op-ed in that production of documents?
I read the deposition. I don't recall seeing the op-ed in what Disney produced. What I do recall is that the person giving that deposition for Disney really had no contact with Jerry Bruckheimer or Sean Bailey. Just was someone that Disney put up who didn't know anything, is what I took
And you
from the
understand,
deposition.
you're a lawyer, right? You understand that a corporate designee is supposed to be in the shoes of the corporation talking for Disney, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. I think that's outside the scope of his expertise in this case.
Overruled. Okay.
I understand that that's what the corporate designee is supposed to be, but when I read that they are not in
That's what-
touch
you
with,
want- that
when
was the
they're not
question.
in touch with the president of the company, it gives me pause.
So Disney itself represented through this witness that it did not have the op-ed in any of its files, correct?
I don't remember that passage in the deposition, but I can't remember. She certainly did not quote the op-ed or produce the op-ed or talk about the op-ed.
Now,
But in Hollywood, actions sometimes speak much louder than words.
and did you recall that that same corporate designee said that Pirate 6 is still possibly in development?
Until Disney says it's not in development, it's in development.
Okay. And can we put up Defendant's Exhibit 134? And you see this is from November 5th, 2020.
And where's this from? Some rogue website? Where's this from?
InsideTheMagic.com.
Okay.
Okay. And this says Disney reportedly scraps plans for Depp's Pirates of the Caribbean 6 return, and that was on November 5th, 2020, correct?
Assuming that this is a correct copy of this random website, that's what it says. They're not quoting the head of production. It's not a statement by Disney, but that's what this woman, Rebecca Barton, says.
Well, 2 years after the op-ed, it was still a question as to whether Mr. Depp was going to be in Pirate 6.
There was no contract for Mr. Depp to be in Pirates 6, but he was Pirates, and there would always be that question until Pirates is produced or until Disney says otherwise.
And November 2020 was at the same time as all the publicity surrounding the UK case, correct?
I think the UK judgment came out in November 2020.
And this article came out 3 days after the judgment, correct?
If the judgment came out on the 2nd, this is 3 days later in, what's this again, moviemagic.com?
Correct.
By Rebecca, Barton.
Could I approach, Your Honor?
All right.
Now, isn't it true that you don't recall when you first read the op-ed?
As I sit here today, I don't recall when I first read it.
I mean, it wasn't a big deal to you. You didn't read it in 2018, correct?
I have a wife, 2 kids, a full-time job. I don't remember.
Okay. And You have no idea when you first read it? I just want to make sure I understand that.
Objection, asked and answered, Your Honor.
Look, I wasn't
I'll
at this.
sustain the objection. Next question.
Okay.
I sustain the objection.
Okay.
Next question.
Now, you, as an expert in the entertainment field,